Very good morning to all of you. This is Shweta Gandhi signing in again from Ossus Group, and I'm a verbal trainer here. Well, I'm back here just to give you the intensive or the detailed idea about IELTS speaking part 3. Well, many of the students, they are facing dilemma in IELTS exam, what to do, what not to do. But when you need to go to the individual modules to solve each your query related to your IELTS exam. Talking about this, today's particularly, we are focusing on speaking section. In the speaking part, we need to understand the part 3 section, the third part of your speaking module. Speaking particularly, we have to deep dive into that. If you're not deep diving into that, you're not able to find the nitty-gritty of the particular context. So speaking is the number one thing. You are into dilemma. Why I'm not able to speak? What is the particular thing I should focus on? Because you're fumbling again and again. And if you're fumbling, you think that you have either lack of thoughts or lack of vocabulary. So particularly, I am today going to take you to the whole process of the speaking, specifically part 3. Part 3 is all about the detailed, you need to give the detailed answers to the examiner. Now, let's begin and just have if you have the queries related to speaking part 3 or any questions related to IELTS exam, we have your question answer box. Do ask your questions in the particular part, and if you have any queries, just do post your comments in the question answer box. I'm here to solve your query. Okay. Moreover, I want to tell you that we have also online portal that's called IELTS Tutorials. We have free question papers, practice papers there. If you want to go ahead with the practice sets, if you want to have it, it's free. It's particularly if I'm going to take you to the IELTS online tutorials, it means in this particularly February, we are offering you the discount offers on that also. And you need to sign in with the promo code that is called FEB20. Okay, so if you want to practice more, just open that, just go and deep dive into that also, so that it will be beneficial to have your more practice into that. Okay, let's start with today's webinar. Today's webinar, the whole protocol is the speaking section, in which extensively or intensively, I am going to take you to the part 3 round, that is speaking part 3. As you know, we have 3 parts in the speaking section. The part 1 round is the introduction round, in which examiner will ask you basic questions related to your likes, your dislikes, your hobbies, and do you cook, what do you do in a weekend, what's the plan for your next weekend, what did you do in your last weekend, etc. And these are the basic questions in which examiner wants to break the ice with you. They want you to be very comfortable on chair. Okay. But when it comes to part 2, it is cue card, in which you have 1 minute to prepare for the cue card with the 3 questions of the topic, and you need to speak continuously related to that. So that is cue card. But what is speaking part 3? Speaking part 3 is all about, you need to give detailed answers of the further questions they are asking about related to the topic cue card. For example, if I'm saying like my topic is of the cue card is describe a story or describe a moment or describe a travel you had recently. Now the travel is, suppose I had my travel to Goa. So that means I had described everything about that thing. But in my discussion round, in my follow-up round, they are asking me about the traveling part. So this is what the speaking part 3 is all about. They will ask you further questions related to the cue cards. Okay, so let's start with today's webinar, which is particularly focusing on speaking part 3, in which you need to understand that there is a basic difference between the part 1 and part 3. The part 1 is particularly the small answers. We can give around 2 to 3 to 4 line answers in the speaking part 1. But in the speaking part 3, we need to focus on particularly, at least we have to give around 5 to 6 line answers to the question, because there they expect something from you, because they want your opinion, they want your judgment, they want your assessment. So this is the whole nitty-gritty I have told you. Now I'm going to let you to the journey of IELTS speaking, particularly part 3 module. Okay, let's begin. So this is, we are going to have speaking part 3 follow-up questions or counter questions. That is also called counter questions because examiners are asking you the further questions related to the cue cards. Next, okay, this is again our promo code Feb20. If you want to go with the practice test, IELTS tutorials, we are here to help you out. If you want to sign in with the more practice test, just have the Feb20 promo code. You will be getting 20% discount on that. Okay, let's move to the first part. That means the speaking component. What is speaking component all about? The test format is 11 to 14 minutes. It is one-to-one interview. It is recorded and it consists of 3 parts. So the whole speaking module is actually, you're going with the 11 to 14 minutes process. It is one-to-one interview, means the examiner is in front of you and he is going to ask you various questions related to particular topics. And the whole talk is going to be recorded there, because other 2 examiners will also be there to listen to your things, and they will check and they will assess you. Okay. And the whole speaking part is consists of 3 parts. Part 1 is 4 to 5 minutes, means they are asking you introduction and interview. Part 2 is cue cards. They'll give you a topic and 3 questions related to that topic. Now you have 1 minute to solve that cue cards, and in 2 minutes you have to continuously speak related to that particular cue card. Part 3 is all about the discussion round based on cue cards. So 3 to 5 minutes, they'll ask you further questions related to that. Okay. Let's begin with a glance. Well, let's have a glance on speaking test 3. Now, particularly if I'm going to talk about speaking test 3, part 3, it is a 2-way discussion, follow-up questions and detailed discussion. Now, it is all about, you need to have you need to give the abstract answers. You need to give the detailed answers in that. Because, IELTS is all about, you have different sections. You can see in listening also, you can see in reading also, you can see in speaking also. But it is understood that as you move on, the level of difficulty increases. The level of difficulty increases means the part 3 round, means, or the section 3 of any of the thing, or the section 4 of any of the modules, you'll find that you will face a little bit difficulty in that. So similarly for the speaking, as you move to part 3, examiners do not want your short answers. They want your opinion, they want your judgment, and they want your detailed discussion. Okay, and the questions are about 4 to 7, and mostly they are based on the cue card topics. And the total time limit, we can say around 4 to 6 minutes. Okay. Now, let's start first with the band descriptors of the speaking, because you should understand that speaking band descriptors are basically, you need to understand the thing that on what basis examiners will give you the bands, examiners give you the assessment. What is the assessment criteria for the speaking? So first, in speaking, I have mentioned here 6 to 9 bands criteria. The 6th band is all about when you are able to convey your thoughts to the examiner. But in 7 bands, you are speaking at length, you're adding some good vocabs with good grammar, with the complex structures, you'll get 7. In 8, the range will become broader. You are using your English flexible without fumbling. Vocabulary resources are very perfect. Little grammar mistakes, that will be okay because, of course, we are not native speakers. The grammar mistakes, sometimes rare grammar mistakes, are negligible. The 9 bands, if you're using it, without slip of tongue, it's all about your flawlessly, you're speaking and speaking and speaking, then you'll be getting 9 bands. Okay. So let's discuss for 5 minutes what is the basic difference between 6, 7, 8, and 9. But before that, you should understand that overall we have 100% for our assessment. Now, 100% basically, they're dividing this 100% to in 4 particular sections. Number 1, fluency and coherence. Number 2, lexical resource. Number 3, grammatical range and accuracy. Number 4, pronunciation. 25% marks or 25% band scores are distributed particularly in these 4 sections. So fluency and coherence, what is this? And specifically, what is coherence? Coherence is nothing but the logical connectivity of the thoughts to the examiner, with the examiners, I can say. For example, if whatever I'm telling, if it is easily, you are understanding it easily, what I am telling to you, and if you are comprehending it properly, so that means we have a good coherence. So coherence is nothing but the logical connectivity of thoughts. And if you have good logical connection, then automatically you will be having good fluency. So fluency and coherence itself taking the 25% mark. Now, the important thing is that many students are going with the problem of so here you're lacking in your coherence, your fluency is getting disturbed, and that is why your band scores, they are actually they are shifting to the declivity. So please be aware that if you are going to speak in front of the examiner, fluency is important. And if you have fluency, you automatically having the coherence. See, natural fumbling is okay. Natural is okay, sometimes rare. But in each and every question, if you're repeating the same thing, it is actually a problem because you're not able to speak properly. Examiner understands like this. So be aware with this section, that fluency and coherence. Lexical resource means you should have good lexical vocabulary resource. See, in essay, we generally tell you not to use idioms and phrases. Do not add idioms, phrases. Do not add phrasal verbs. But in speaking, lexical resource means you need to add idioms. You need to add verbal phrases, vocabulary phrases. So that sounds better. That makes a charismatic effect in front of the examiner. Okay, so lexical resource is very important for you. Grammatical range and accuracy. Now, grammatical range and accuracy means it is not about that you are making mistakes in grammar. It is not only this. Grammatical range means you need to speak your sentences in around 3 to 4 types of different sentences. Means you need to use simple sentence, you need to add complex sentence, you need to add compound sentence. So there are various things you need to understand, that grammatical range is also important if you want more than 6 bands. Then next is the pronunciation. Pronunciation is basically your way of speaking words. Are you speaking it at a good note? Are you speaking it like that only? Now some people say like it is sad. It is sad that. No, it is said that. So the pronunciation is also very important. If you have good pronunciation, examiners will give you bands on this also. So the differences, just we are going to look at the difference between the 6 bands and 8 bands. Let's look. If I'm talking about the fluency and coherence, it is all about it is willing to speak at length. Now, what is fluency? Fluency is particularly if students are speaking at length, though may lose coherence at times due to occasional repetition, self-correction, or hesitation. So if you are repeating your thoughts, if you're repeating your ideas, and if you're repeating the things, sometimes you're doing your self-corrections, this is also where you're not, or I can say the examiner is not satisfied with your speaking part. So that is the thing, you should avoid your fumbling. Uses a range of connectives and discourse markers, but not always appropriately. You're using a range of connectors, but if you're not adding it to the appropriate position, you're not getting a good thing because the connectivity is not. For example, if you are using similarly, okay, but at that moment, actually the we can say the contrasting connector must be there, but you are using similarly. It means you're using it inappropriately, so you're losing bands. Then come to the 7 bands. Speak at length without noticeable efforts and loss of coherence. Okay, you are speaking, but you are not fumbling. more. Okay, then 8 bands speak fluently with only occasional repetition or self-correction. Hesitation is usually content related and only rare to search for language. Okay, so you're quite fluent, you're quite go in a flow, you are just, if I'm asking you the question, you're just giving me the answer without any hesitation. That means you have good fluency and you have good coherence. So try to make your fluency at a par level, and for this you need to do mirror practice. If you are doing mirror practice in front of the mirror, you need to speak about any of the product. Take any of the product of your room and just start speaking for that for 1 minute. This is also called prop round. If you're playing prop round with yourself, like if you're taking any product and just start speaking in front of the mirror and just record the things also, this will also help you to improve your fluency. Lexical resource, if you are moving for 6 bands, has a wide enough vocabulary to discuss topics at length, make meanings clear in spite of inappropriacies. General paraphrase is successful. Now, in speaking also, it is very important to paraphrase the question. Whenever the examiner is asking you questions, do paraphrase the question first and do not directly start your answer. First paraphrase the question and then start your answer. In 7 bands, uses vocabulary resources flexibly to discuss a variety of topics and paraphrase effectively, less common and idiomatic vocabulary. Now, 8 and 9 bands, if you can see, there is mention that uses less common and idiomatic vocabulary skillfully with occasional inaccuracies and wide vocabulary resources readily. So if you're okay, see, vocabulary is not the constraint where you are lagging. The important thing is if you're having your own words and if you're using it fluently, then also it is fine. Okay, so it is not that you need to put your efforts adding more vocabulary in your brain and try to use like that only. No, if you're fluent with the vocabulary structure, then only you can add it, otherwise you can skip it, it's fine. But try, if you want 8 bands, if you want 8 plus bands, if you want in fact 7 plus bands, idiomatic expressions are very important. Okay, then grammatical range. Grammatical range means, you need to add a wide range of structures. Last time also I have discussed with you that if you are adding simple and complex sentences only, then you'll be getting 6 bands. If you're adding simple sentence, complex sentence, compound sentence, passive voice, with little bit grammar mistakes, you'll be getting 7. But if you are adding the sentences error-free, you'll be getting 8. Talking about the pronunciation is very important. Like for example, in 6 bands, it's mentioned uses a range of pronunciation features mixed with some features with mixed compound sentence, shows some effective use of features, but does not sustain. So pronunciation is, it is actually give you good band. If you're using a wide range of pronunciation features, if you're using words, sustains flexible use of features with any occasional lapses, easy to understood throughout the whole conversation. So it will give you good bands. Okay, so these are the bands descriptors, students, because you before starting this whole webinar section, what to do, what not to do, the basic assessment criteria is very important to understand, because if you do not know on what basis the examiner is going to check you, then you will not able to understand, because this is the whole protocol you need to follow: fluency, lexical, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. Okay, let's move to the next part. Okay, what I tell generally to my students that please, if you are at part 3 section, always try to follow this concept, because this is the best concept to give your answers a length. See, if I'm telling you what do you prefer, what do you think reading, do people read in your country? What do you think? Do people read in your country? Now, if you're starting your answer, I don't know regarding this, or maybe yes, or maybe no. This is not the way to give answers at part 3, because part 3 is very crucial. You need to give your judgment, because he is asking you, what do you think? So you need to give, well, according to me, or I think, or I believe, or I can see that, it seems to me, or as per my perspective. Just change your things, and you need to give your opinion also. So opinion is not only I think and I believe, but in speaking, add some different words. Okay, so first important thing is OREO concept you should follow in the speaking part 3. The first O is called opinion, where the examiner, if demands your opinion, you need to give your opinion with a proper uttering of the words. Like, for example, like this is the same I told you, like I believe, I think, according to me, as per my perspective, etc. You can add a word, a line, but opinion is very important. Then, whatever opinion is you are giving, you need to explain it with a reason why you are giving opinion. Okay, like for example, what do you think? Do people read in your country? Do people have reading habits in your country? Well, according to me, yes, I believe that people do read, because nowadays everybody is getting familiar with the surrounding world, what's happening or what's not happening, and what are the issues regarding our globe. So, this is the part I have given my opinion that yes, people do read according to me. But now I have to explain it also as reason, because why people have reading habit? They want to get good knowledge about that. They want to get information about that. Maybe they want to improve their English. Maybe they want to improve their vocabulary. Maybe they want to grab a good amount of knowledge in them. After reasoning your opinion, you need to give example also. Okay, so example is what you need to generate that example as based on your reason why you think that the reading habit is important, for example, right? And then at last you need to restate your opinion. If you're restating your opinion, you are firm that okay, this is my opinion, this is my answer with the reason and example, and again I'm restating, means the coherence is appropriate. The coherence is you're conveying your coherence to the examiner in an appropriate manner. So please follow this OREO concept. It's very easy and it's very smooth to use. Okay. Then next come to the part that is after OREO. Now I am taking you to the type of questions what generally they ask you. For example, if I'm talking about like, I have given you a cue card, like describe a city you like the most. Okay, describe a city you like the most. What is that city? Why do you like it? And what are the places that fascinate you so much? Now, particularly, this is the cue card. But when it comes to the section 3, they will ask you the same questions, the discussion questions related to the city topic. So, for example, is life different in cities compared to rural areas? So, here the question is about comparison. Then, second type of question is given opinion. So, they will just change the question to the another level. How do you think life in big cities could be made easier? How do you think? How do you think means he's asking your opinion. Okay. Then third is imagine. What do you think cities will be like in 50 years' time? So this is imagination, means the projection of your thoughts. It's leading to the future way. So anticipation, right? So this is all about the the three type of question, the common question that examiner asks you related to the part 3, and you will be very much ready with these things, because besides these things they will not ask you any other thing. Okay, so first make sure that you can compare easily, make sure you can give your opinion easily, and there are 3 different methods. Okay, for these 3 questions there are different methods. For example, how is life different in cities and compared to rural areas? You can, please do not give directly the answers like for me the city life is this and the rural life is this. Don't give this. First, what you need to do, it's basic. The best idea is first just explain how is city life, and then on the other hand how the rural life. This shows the comparison. Do not create a mess with your words. Do not create the things that examiner get confused. Understand the thoughts, understand the words, understand the meaning, understand the question type, that it is comparison. So compare one part, completely explain it, and then go to the next part, completely explain it. When he is asking you, how do you think in big cities should be made easy, life is easier? So you have to give your opinion. right? According to me, this is going to happen like this. This will tell you how you have to give your answer. Okay. And the third part is imagine. So imagine like you need to think your, you need to progress your mind. You need to prepare your mind for the future way. So here you need to add modals also. Modals means may, might, could, would. Because if you are adding modals, you are adding your probability. It's not sure, you're adding probability. So always in the future condition, future projections, always have the modal, take the help of modals. Okay. Okay. Let's move to the type of answers we can give for the compare and contrast, or opinion, or imagination. Let's see. Like in my answers, I have underlined a few markers that show comparison, opinions, and future predictions. Let's see. If I am going to compare the things. So comparison is all about, you need to compare the two things. Let's start. How can you start it? Firstly, the cost of living. Okay, the question is, again, I'm telling you, the question is, how is life different in cities compared to rural areas? Okay, how is life different in cities compared to rural areas? Now, how can we go with? Firstly, okay, well, there are various differences between city area and countryside. Talking about these things, firstly, in cities, the cost of living is much higher. Housing is much more expensive in cities compared to rural areas. Everything costs more. I think life in cities is more difficult. There are more people, so there is more competition for jobs. So what I have here done, I have completed my whole thought process related to the one part. I haven't created any mess. I have completed my whole things to the first part. Then, life is a lot slower in rural areas. Everyone knows each other and there's a sense of community. I don't think rural areas experience the social problems that you find in cities like crime and homelessness. So now again I have mentioned the second part. So in this way, I have given my proper flow of thoughts. I have conveyed it properly to the examiner, that I have first described the city side, then countryside. Do not go like they'll take one line of city, then rural, then city, then rural. It is creating a mess. Don't do this. The second part is, the second question was, how do you think in big cities could be made? How do you think life in big cities could be made easier? Let's see. How do you think? So the first answer you need to start with, in my opinion, cities need to be well planned. Good public transport can definitely make life easier because there are so many people and it can be really stressful just to move around. Public areas like parks are also important because people need space to relax. And I think cities should be made into healthier places to live and work. See, at last, particularly, I think cities should be made into. So I have given two times opinion. I have followed OREO. O, that means opinion. Then I've given my reasons. Then I have taken my examples, like public areas like parks are also important. And then finally, I restate my opinion. I think cities should be made into healthier places. So in this way, you have your thoughts. Then come to imagination. If the person is imagining, I imagine cities will be less populated because, I believe, or I think, or I imagine cities will be less polluted because we'll have electric cars. Okay, what is the question 3? The question 3 was, let me give you the question third type. What do you think cities will be like in 50 years time? Now 50 years time, see, I imagine cities will be less polluted because we'll have electric cars and better public transport. More people might work from home, so maybe cities won't be so busy. Then, for example, if you're finding that you are lacking in your words, lacking in your thoughts, then you can just contradicting this. But I think sometimes it happens like whatever you want to speak, you can just go with the flow. But I imagine is very important because he's asking your future projections, your future probabilities of thinking. So just start with the things like that. Okay. Then come to the next part. No, these are such words you can use with the speaking part 3. That means, when beginning with an opening, linking phrases, whenever you are starting your answers, start with this. Well, obviously, well, clearly, and please do not start your answers every time with well. You can add different words. You can add different things like, well, obviously, clearly I can say that. Sure, without doubt. Undoubtedly, yes. Unmistakably, yes. Unquestionably. So these are the words you need to begin with an opening link phrases. Okay. Because when the examiner is asking a question, like for example, what do you think internet is popular in your country? Yes, obviously, unquestionably. So here you are giving her expressions also with the uses of these words. Okay, and when you're going to give her the differences between the two things, or you are maybe making the comparison, there are number of underlining differences here. You can start like that. There are number of underlining differences between city area and rural life. There are a variety of possible differences. There are a range of potential distinctions here. So you can have, if they want if they want to make you to give answer, try to start your answers in this way, because this will, do not start it. The differences are, similarities like, you should give a proper paraphrase of the answers. Okay. Let's move to the next part. See, I have made this thing for you. Like if you are introducing the part, the first difference, if see, well, there is a talk about the differences of the people living in city life or the rural area. When you're adding your first difference, like, however, I guess the most significant would be, always try to add linkers in with your sentences. So linkers help you to go ahead with all the things. Okay. So introduce the first difference if you are adding like, however, I guess that the most significant would be that. Though I suppose the most obvious would be that, but I would say the most fundamental would be that. So fundamental, obvious, significant, these are the basic adjectives which adding feathers on your head if you're adding these, because this is actually the cherry on the cake. If you're, see, there's a cake, and if you're adding a cherry, you'll be finding it attractive. So if you're adding word, noun is, of course, you need to add. But if you're adding it with more glow, with the more adjectives, these are actually giving the sentence the proper attention of the examiner. Oh, you're using adjective also. You're using adverb also. So adjective and adverb is also, or they are also playing a very important role. Okay. Then when you're starting that, I guess the most significant, I suppose, I would say, please use these words. Okay. And at last one, especially, particularly, in fact, such as, for example, specifically, please use these words. Use your first comparative linking structure. First comparative linking structure. If you're comparing, you have just mentioned, like, I guess the most significant one is that. Whereas on the other hand, on the contrary, though quite the opposite. Okay. Develop the second part of the first difference, like especially, particularly, again, after you have developed the first part, and if you want to introduce it to the second part, then you have to add on the other hand and all. But if you want to add linkers also, so you can add moreover, in addition, as well as, on top of this, moreover, after that. So please go with such linkers, because they are also giving you the proper sense of connectivity of you to the examiner. Okay. Say there is another important difference. A second key distinction would be, a subsequent contrast could be that. A further distinction might be that. Please, students, focus on it. Okay. So develop the first difference, like use your first comparative linkers, whereas on the other hand, on the contrary. So it's like the same thing I have given you. The next part is predicting. Now, what if you are predicting, you are imagining opening linking phrases? Certainly, because you are not so sure. But yes, you are saying that, of course, probably it's going like this. So certainly, I'm sure that most people would agree that there will be a number of major changes related to this. Okay. So certainly, I'm sure that in years to come, we will be a number of major changes related to this. I reckon that in the not so distant future, I will witness some major changes with regard to. So students, try to understand that if I'm reading here, it's not because I just want to give you the answers. I want to give you the idea, the thought process, how you need to go with, how you need to convey your thoughts to the examiner with the proper linking phrases. Okay. Introduce your first prediction. Initially, I guess that we might begin to see. To begin with, I would predict that we will most likely have primarily see initially to begin with. I suppose, who knows, first of all, I would emphasize that. So please try to understand these words, okay? And if you want to note it down, you can also note it down. So students, if you have queries also, we have question answer box related to that. Please, if you have any query, just write the problem in the question answer box. I will be here to solving your doubts. Okay. Now, the next part is, let's move to the next part. Now, after predicting, how will you introduce your second prediction? Now, introducing your second prediction means at the same time, I suppose it's quite probable. So these are simply the phrases I want you to tell, as well as this, some people claim that we will probably start to see. Here, this person has added, I suppose. Some people claim that it will probably. On top of this, I imagine, always you need to show particularly the kind of words that you are using here. Okay. And the third prediction is, and who knows, I could even be possible. So possibility, the probability, the could, the might, the anticipation, all these things you need to add for your prediction part. Okay. Okay. Next, come to the techniques. If you're adding section 3 as your main part of your, you're always stuck with the section 3 part. So you need to add something as techniques, like technique 1, paraphrasing. Paraphrase the question. If they are asking you to, if they're asking you, for example, the examiner is asking you, what can people do to try and reduce water pollution? So do not start your answers like, to reduce water pollution, this. No. You need to paraphrase it first. What can what can individuals do to ensure water is kept clean? I think now that he's asking you a question, what can people do to try and reduce water pollution, right? So you can start your answers like people, you can replace your word with individual to ensure water is kept clean. Okay, how can events like Olympic improve international relations? How can sport bring people from different countries closer together? Like improve international relations means, different countries closer together. So this is the way. Please do paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is nothing but restatement of the questions in your own words. You need to explain it. You need to start your answers with your own paraphrasing of the question. Re-speak your topic in your own words, okay? So a good way to extend your answers to respond with a paraphrase of the examiner's question. Paraphrasing is when you repeat the sentence, but with synonyms, so that it has same meaning, okay? Fine. Then, always try to answer the question why, which is not there, but yes, it is present there and it is in the hidden mode. Always in the speaking part, you should remember that there are 5 W's: why, which, who, when, whom, where. Okay. So these are the question, and one is also H, how. Always try to extend your answers by adding these W words. And just again pretend yourself that you are speaking to a child who knows nothing. And you need to explain why it is going to happen and why it's happening. For example, what can people do to reduce pollution? I believe that the best way to keep water clean is to curb water use at home. The wastewater, okay, the vast majority of water is used in the home for cooking, cleaning, and washing. Therefore, by reducing, again, you need to, for OREO, you need to give opinion. You need to add reason. The reason will give you the answer why. Okay, so please give your answers always in the why condition. Getting? Next, technique 3, give examples. I've given you the things that please students give examples. Examples are very important. Always try to give examples. This seems an obvious one, but something many students don't do. Of course, I can bet that you people are not doing that. But if you are doing that, you're adding length with good examples, because good examples will give you a proper connectivity to the thoughts also. If you can't think of one, Just make up one. You'll not lose any marks for making the example. In fact, you are gaining marks for giving a well-developed answer. Do not give short answers. Make your answers at length. And do not give so many thoughts. Take one thought, explain it with the example. It itself give you a good length. A good technique is to use an example from newspaper, article, or recent study. Let's have an example. Have the modes of transport people use in your country changed much over the last few decades? Absolutely. They have changed a lot. In the past mode, people used bicycles, but now they predominantly use motorbikes. For example, a recent survey found that 72% of people in Ho Chi Minh City now own a motorbike. So now what I have done, I have concluded this, that absolutely they have changed a lot. Then I have given that in the past mode, most of the people used bicycles, but now they predominantly use motorbikes. And then now, for example, if I'm thinking that I'm lacking in my thoughts, I've just quoted my example here. Okay, like according to recent survey, it's found that. So I just made the statistic up. It's perfectly acceptable for you to do the same thing in IELTS speaking test. Okay. Next, make concessions. For example, make concession by that there are limits to our opinion. Sometimes, you don't think that, okay, this is not the way that I think. Just change your thought. Let's have an example. For example, to what extent do you think advertising affects people's shopping habits? Do advertising affects people's shopping habits? You think, no, it's not like that. So you can say, personally, I don't think that it affects the way people shop at all. When people need something, they make up their own mind rather than thinking about adverts. However, it must have some influence. However, again, a connector. However, it must have some influence if companies pay lots of money for ads. Okay. So like personally, it is not like to what extent do you think advertising affects people? So yes, I completely agree. No, it's not. I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so that it affects the people, because when people need something to have, they'll directly have by going to the malls and by going to various shops. They just buy the things. So it's not they're completely depending on the advertisements. They are depending on their own self. Whenever they need, they buy it. Okay. So please just give these things also. And if you're adding example also after this, you're adding bands to this. Okay. Next, exam tip, need to follow that. Make good use of modal verbs to frame your ideas, and specifically for imaginative part. Will to state your intention. In this essay, I'll outline 3 measures. Emphatic modal verbs such as must and should to express a necessity. In my view, society as a whole must bear some of this responsibility. Means must and should means you need to do this, and it's emphatic means it's a kind of request or it's a kind of order. Can and could to make suggestions. Would to indicate the consequence of implementing a suggestion. This would ensure that young people are continuously representing the halls of power. Okay, so these are the modal verbs. Understand the things, understand the various ways of utilizing this. Please, students, do go read the modal verbs also, because these are actually, it finds that it's nothing, but yes, it is everything for the imagination, because it makes your imagination power so strong, because it is completely a probable part. Okay, next come to the particular questions, like these are the basic questions, when speakers or the students always find the query with. What if I have a North American accent? Is that okay? These are the frequently asked questions. Generally, students do not get answers, but I'm here to, with the number of questions, maybe 1 or 2 questions are linked up with your thoughts also, and you will be having the answers. Okay. I have a North American accent. Is that okay? Yes, American English is not penalized in any part of the test, whether it's pronunciation or spelling. But one thing I want to make you clear, students, do not flaunt, do not show off, be natural. If your examiner is, suppose, the foreigner, and you are impressed by the speaking of the person, what's your name? And you are giving, my name is this. Don't go like this, because this will actually demean the thoughts of yours. This will actually hampering the proper fluency of yours, because you're not giving it in the natural form. Do not copy the examiner's accent. Be you, what you are. Okay. Can I ask my examiner what score he or she will give me? No, this is not like that. You'll get this in 2 weeks. What happens if I disagree with the result I was given? You may ask the IELTS test center to arrange another IELTS examiner to re-evaluate your speaking. This is possible as all interviews are recorded. You may incur an extra expense depending on whether your scores change. So these are FAQs, students. If you're having any problem, you can have the questions, and these are the FAQs. You can solve your queries by reading these answers. Next, is it better to do the speaking test in my home country or in England, Australia, etc.? Well, in your home country is often thought of the best place for speaking test. However, do keep in mind that all examiners receive exactly the same training around the world, which is moderated by central body. The only justification for why it may be better to do the test in your home country is that you may score high in pronunciation is seen as more subjective. Examiners in your home country are familiar with their accent, whereas those in England may not. So look, for example, like we are in Ahmedabad. Many students like, ma'am, can I give my exam from the other city in Gujarat? What actually my perception is, do not give, because examiners everywhere, they're same. They're going to give you the same judgment. It's not like if you're giving from town area, you're getting good bands. No, it's not like that. You can give your examination from anywhere. If you're living in Ahmedabad, you're giving your exam from Ahmedabad. Examiners are all the way same. But yes, the question here is about whether you can give outside of the particular country. It's not like, try to be in your home. Try to be in your home country. Okay. When describing something from your own culture, you can use a word from your own language. Yes, you can, but also try and paraphrase in English. My mother likes to make kukusim zamini. That's potato patties in English. Okay, like this is the basic thing. These are the basic things you need to have the just knowledge about that. Like sometimes if you are adding your way of adding words, but yes, you need to understand with the examiner also. Okay, this is this thing. Okay. Next, last top 10 IELTS speaking tips. Try to be very clear with the grammar structure. Use correct grammar, a, and, the, article, and plurals in particular. So always say, students, if you're any three, I'm not saying that you will not get bans if you're all the four things. If you're not if you're not good at all the four, you're not getting bans. It's not like that. You have to be very firm, very clear with it, with at least the 3 assessment criteria. You have to be very clear with it. You should have good grammatical range and accuracy. You should have coherence and fluency and pronunciation. If you have these three things, you'll be getting 7. Trust me. But if you're adding vocabulary part, you'll be getting 8. So this way it works. Okay. If you're okay with the 2 things, for example, your fluency and coherence is okay, and your pronunciation, of course, you're doing just minor mistakes in that, but your fluency, coherence, and your grammar is okay, you'll be getting 6 easily, because it is all about what they're asking you. You're conveying your thoughts to the examiner properly. So here you'll be getting 6. But when you're adding something to your thoughts, for example, now you're adding your vocabs, now you're adding complex structures, this will help you to raise your bands with 0.5, then 1, then 0.5 again. So adding the things with your score bands. Okay. Next, so grammar must be very good. Clarity. Do not mumble and speak clearly. Do not mumble. Okay. No. You need to speak clearly. You need to speak loudly. Always pay close attention to what you are saying. Do not speak like that only. Think what you're speaking. Are you going in a good form? Are you are not distracting from the topic? You're not going off topic. Be clear with your thoughts. Accuracy. Focus on English grammar and precision. Do not try to use new words or phrases you're unsure of. See, many of the students they know the word, like this is this word. But you should understand that what is the usage of the word. Are you using it in an appropriate space? Are you using it in the appropriate position? So accuracy is very important. Self-correct. Always correct yourself if you know you made a mistake. This is called self-correction. See, self-correction is okay, but if in every sentence, if you're self-correcting yourself, this is not the way you're getting bans, good bans. Because self-correction means examiner understands that you're not giving yourself a proper judgment of your speaking fluency is not okay. Then on what basis he will give you bans? So please, you can self-correct 2-3 times, but not more than that. Okay. And one more thing, student, I want to tell you that please understand the type of question they're asking you. For example, it's not only in the speaking part 3, it's about the whole speaking. If they're asking you to be like, what did you do? What did you do when you were a child? So this is the particular question that is focusing on the past tense. So past tense, you need to give all your answers in the past. Verbs. What you're doing now. What's your reading habit now? Now means today. You need to give your answers in the present tense. What will be your things in the future? In the future. What do you think where you'll be in your 5 years? The whole thing will be going in the future. So always consider the tenses, because if you're considering tenses, you are getting clarity of your grammar. So pay close attention to what examiner is asking you. Whether he is asking you about the PPF, which P is the past or present, or which the thing next is F, whether he's asking for you for the future. Okay. Okay, so be confident and positive. Make it personal. Sometimes if you're not getting the things, sometimes if you're not getting the thoughts, specifically in speaking, go and take the examples personally. Make it personal. But in your essay writing, do not go personal. But in speaking, try to go personal. It's very much fine. Make it interesting. Give an example about yourself. Make sure it's an interesting, and this will help you. See, the proper intonation is also required. If you're giving your answers like monotonous, keep on speaking, without pauses, without chunking, without taking notes of your intonations. This will not work. Give pauses, have smile, have the feeling of giving the answers. If you're finding it good, oh yes, of course. Oh yes, I love this question. In fact, this recent had happened with me. So this is what you're giving your a good loud voice, because you're happy to give answers. It's not about happy to give answers. It's about you're having a good thoughts in you. But sometimes if you're not, you are finding this is no, I don't think so. So intonation automatically gets down. Okay, so work on your intonation. The speed. Do not go monotonously with the same speed. Work on it. Have chunkings, small pauses, long pauses. Small pauses a comma, big pauses a full stop. So make it interesting. Okay, stick to the topic. Always stick yourself to the topic. Do not go off topic. Make sure you're answering only the question talking about. Okay, for example, if I'm saying like, this has recently happened with me. I was taking the speaking test of one of my students, and I asked about the basic thing of the introduction. Describe your family. And he was describing like, I have 5 members in my family, my mother, my father, 2 sisters, and I. And one more thing, yes, I am born and brought up in Ahmedabad. And talking about Ahmedabad is a beautiful city. He was constantly talking about Ahmedabad. So my question was about the family. It was not about the city. So he has given just 2-line answers of the family, and he has shifted himself to the city. So it means he had gone completely off topic. So do not go off topic, because if you're going off topic, you're not getting answers. Talk as much as you can. Don't stop yourself. Don't give long pauses. Sometimes in the cue cards, you get stop yourself with the like you don't have thoughts. Do not. Keep on talking about the things. Keep on speaking about the things. If you're speaking, you're finding yourself that automatically your brain is working, pushing yourself with a number of thoughts. So This will only comes with the practice. Okay, so all these things you need to work on. Specifically today I have come up with the part 3, because our main aim is not only for like this is listening, this is reading, this we are particularly focusing on intensive part in which you are lacking. You're having hurdles, you're not crossing it every time. If you're getting 5.5 or 6 and you want 7, what you need to do, what the examiner is asking you to go ahead with, all the things we are working on. Okay, student, I hope this whole webinar is I suppose this will be good for you, because it gives an intensive information about everything of the particular part that's called part 3. We have already done with the part 2 cue cards in the part 1, and this was the part 3. If you have any queries, any doubts, you can post your queries here in the question answer box. I'm here to solve your queries if you have any doubts, any other things. Yes, I hope this webinar is quite interesting. It was, yes, it was quite interesting. Okay, one more thing I want to again let you know, that we have online tutorials, IELTS tutorials. We have promoting this thing, that we have good practice test with the IELTS online tutorials, and there's a discount coupon of FAB20. If you want to pursue with this, if you want to have this, please avail it, because FAB20 is the promo code. You'll be getting good discounts on it. And moreover, you'll be having good practice sessions, practice tests. We are writing evaluations. We have corrections. So all these things will help you to understand your level, where you are standing. Okay. So please, if you want, you can just grab this promo code instantly. This is the FAB offer with the promo code FAB20. It's IELTS tutorials. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day. And we'll be back again on next Saturday with upcoming more webinars related to the IELTS, particularly integratively particular with the particular topics. Okay, do take care of yourself and enjoy. Thank you.